Another day, another story. During my freshman year of high school, I had a bus driver who used to be a substitute bus driver. Let's call her Sarah. At first, she was really nice, always greeting us with a smile and making sure we got to school safely. At that time, my grandfather was very sick, and my grandmother often took him to all of his doctor's appointments. One of my aunts would usually pick my brother and me off the bus. Usually, it was my grandfather's sister, but this specific day, it was my grandmother's daughter and my mom's sister. As we pulled up to my house, my aunt was standing at the top of our driveway, waiting for us. My bus driver casually asked me if that was Maggie, and I casually said yes. My brother and I got off the bus, and my aunt asked if the bus driver was Sarah. I said yes, not asking any more questions. We went home and did what we usually did: homework, hung out, ate, etc. The next day, I woke up at 5 a.m. to go to school like usual. The bus always came at around 6:45. My grandma drove us up the driveway to meet the bus like usual, and as my brother and I were getting on the bus, we noticed that we now had assigned seats. We were both confused but didn't argue because maybe she just made it for everyone, so we sat in those specific seats. Then, we made another stop, and I noticed that she didn't tell the other kid that he had an assigned seat. I let it go, not wanting to cause an issue, and just sat in my seat and listened to my music. We got to school, and everything was normal. Then, we left school and obviously got on the bus to go home. Again, my Aunt Maggie picked us up at the top of our driveway, and I mentioned to her that my brother and I both now had assigned seats on the bus, and we didn't know what we did to have that be put in place. My aunt didn't tell me anything at that point, but I couldn't shake off the feeling that something was off. The next few weeks were filled with anxiety for me as I tried to figure out why the bus driver had assigned seats to my brother and me. I kept wondering if we had done something wrong, or if there was something about us that had made her treat us differently from the other kids on the bus. One day, as I was getting off the bus, I decided to confront Sarah about it. I approached her and asked, "Excuse me, why do my brother and I have assigned seats on the bus?" She looked at me with a stern expression and said, "I've noticed that you two have been causing trouble on the bus, so I decided to assign you seats to keep you in check." I was stunned. My brother and I had never caused any trouble on the bus. In fact, we were always quiet and kept to ourselves. I tried to explain this to her, but she didn't seem to believe me. I left the bus feeling hurt and frustrated. When I got home, I told my Aunt Maggie what had happened. She was outraged and decided to call the school and report Sarah's behavior. It turned out that Sarah had been causing trouble on the bus herself, and had even been fired from her previous job as a substitute bus driver for similar behavior. The school launched an investigation and found that Sarah had been unfairly targeting my brother and me, and had been lying about us causing trouble on the bus. She was fired and replaced with a much nicer bus driver who treated all the kids on the bus with kindness and respect. Although I was relieved that the situation had been resolved, I couldn't help but feel angry at Sarah for what she had put my brother and me through. I also felt grateful to my Aunt Maggie for standing up for us and making sure that justice was served. A few weeks went by, and I noticed that Sarah's behavior was becoming more and more erratic. She would yell at students for no reason, and sometimes she would even speed up or slam on the brakes, causing us all to jolt in our seats. I tried to tell my parents, but they brushed it off, thinking that maybe Sarah was just having a bad day. But then, one day, everything changed. As we were driving home from school, Sarah suddenly pulled over to the side of the road and started screaming at us. She accused us of stealing her wallet and demanded that we give it back. We were all shocked and confused, and nobody had any idea what she was talking about. As Sarah continued to yell at us, my Aunt Maggie happened to be driving by and saw what was happening. She immediately pulled over and ran over to the bus to see what was going on. After hearing Sarah's accusations, she asked to see the wallet, and Sarah reluctantly handed it over. To everyone's shock, the wallet was completely empty. There was no money, no credit cards, no identification, nothing. It was then that we realized that something was seriously wrong with Sarah. She had been losing her grip on reality, and her behavior was becoming more and more erratic by the day. The incident was reported to the school district, and Sarah was quickly relieved of her duties as a bus driver. She was sent to a mental health facility for treatment, and we never saw her again.
What was your reaction to this story? Comment below about what type of drama you'd like to see next.